1984 by George Orwell is a dystopian masterpiece that explores a totalitarian regime, government surveillance, and the suppression of individuality. First published in 1949, this novel remains eerily relevant today. Have you ever wondered what life would be like if the government controlled every aspect of your existence, even your thoughts? Let's dive into this gripping tale to find out. In this summary, we'll take a look at the main characters, the world they live in, and the powerful messages Orwell left us. Stick around to find out how the main character, Winston Smith, navigates this oppressive society and why 1984 is still so relevant today. In 1984, the world is divided into three superstates: Oceania, Eurasia, and Eastasia. The story takes place in Oceania, which is led by the party and ruled by the figurehead known as Big Brother. Despite being omnipresent, Big Brother's actual existence is uncertain, but he symbolizes the party's absolute control. The government's reach is vast, controlling not just the actions, but the very thoughts of its people. Citizens are watched through telescreens devices that broadcast propaganda while constantly monitoring everyone's behavior. Even your smallest actions, like a raised eyebrow, could be interpreted as a sign of rebellion by the thought police. The party also controls language with Newspeak, a language designed to eliminate the possibility of rebellious thoughts by reducing the number of words in the vocabulary. If you can't express something, you can't think about it, right? One of the party's most disturbing practices is altering historical records to fit its narrative. They claim to have always been at war with Eurasia or Eastasia, depending on who is the enemy at the time. The past is malleable, and the party's word is law. The story centers around Winston Smith, a low-ranking member of the party who works at the Ministry of Truth, where his job is to rewrite history. Despite outwardly conforming, Winston secretly harbors rebellious thoughts. He despises the party and its oppressive control over society. Winston lives in constant fear of the thought police, but deep down he yearns for freedom. He begins to question the truth of the party's propaganda, and that's where the story really starts to pick up. Winston begins by writing in a secret diary, something he knows is a dangerous act of defiance. In it, he writes, "Down with Big Brother," an act that could get him executed if anyone finds out. His thoughts grow darker as he contemplates the futility of his existence in a world where privacy and individuality are forbidden. Winston meets Julia, a young woman who works in the fiction department of the Ministry of Truth. She confesses her hatred for the party, and the two begin a secret affair. For Winston, Julia represents rebellion and freedom from the party's control. Their relationship symbolizes a small act of defiance, a rebellion against the party's control over every aspect of their lives, from their relationships to their thoughts. The risks of their affair are enormous. If they are caught, they will face torture, imprisonment, or worse. But to them, the love they share becomes a powerful form of resistance. Winston is drawn to the idea of a secret resistance group, the Brotherhood, led by the mysterious Emmanuel Goldstein. Winston and Julia secretly pledge their allegiance to the Brotherhood, believing it to be the key to overthrowing the party. The Brotherhood is presented to Winston as an organized effort to bring down the party, and for a brief moment, he dares to hope for freedom. But the party's reach is vast, and Winston's belief that he can make a difference starts to waver. Unfortunately, their rebellion doesn't last long. Winston and Julia are betrayed by someone they trusted. The thought police arrest them, and Winston is taken to the Ministry of Love, the place where dissenters are broken and reprogrammed. At the Ministry of Love, Winston is subjected to unimaginable torture. His captor O'Brien, a high-ranking party official, reveals himself to be both a member of the party and a leader of the Brotherhood. He explains that the party's goal isn't simply to control people's actions, but to control their thoughts. The worst part of Winston's torture takes place in Room 101, where prisoners are confronted with their greatest fear. For Winston, this is a cage of rats. In a moment of utter panic, Winston betrays Julia, breaking the last part of his resistance. After Winston is reconditioned, he is released back into society as a broken man. He is no longer capable of independent thought or rebellion. In the novel's heart-wrenching conclusion, Winston comes to truly love Big Brother, having been thoroughly brainwashed into submission. Orwell's novel warns against the dangers of totalitarian governments that seek to control not just the actions, but the thoughts of their citizens. The party in 1984 doesn't just dictate the present, it controls the past, erases truth, and creates a false reality where no one is safe from scrutiny. Winston's struggle represents the fight for individuality in a world that wants to erase personal thought and freedom. His journey shows us how fragile individualism can be in the face of oppressive regimes. While 1984 was written decades ago, its themes are still relevant today. From government surveillance to the manipulation of information, Orwell's vision is a chilling reminder of what can happen when power is left unchecked. If you found 1984 as thought-provoking as I did, don't forget to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the novel's themes. Do you think Orwell's warnings are still relevant today? If you enjoyed this summary and want more, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell icon for notifications on our latest book summaries. You might also like our summaries of other classic dystopian novels like Brave New World and Fahrenheit 451. Check them out in the playlist.